Every man needs to get down to 10% body fat at least once in their life. So in this video, I'm going to break down the journey from 30% body fat to 10% body fat and what happens at every stage in that journey each time you drop 5% body fat. So the foundation to kickstart things. The average man sits at around 30% body fat. You are fluffy at 30% body fat. Confidence is not going to be sky high. You don't really fit that well into clothing. You wouldn't go on a holiday and whip your top off at the pool because you're probably not that comfortable in your own skin. But the good news is, fellas, fat loss is simple and really easy at this point. You've got a lot of body fat to strip off. So by following the age-old adage, move more, eat a little bit less, even with no real accuracy in terms of planning, you will lose weight consistently, week to week. However, it is important to get a plan in place from the start because that makes the rest of the process a whole lot easier. So here are the 5 key areas that we're going to cover. Targets. So if we're trying to lose fat, we need to be working towards targets week to week to keep us accountable, to keep us in check, to make sure that we're not pushing too much, but to make sure that we're pushing enough. So a more than sustainable and manageable target for anyone to work towards in terms of fat loss, especially when you're hovering around 20, 25, 30% body fat, is to lose 1% of your total body weight per week. So if you're a 220 pound male, that would be looking at losing around 2 pounds per week. And again, that should be relatively easy and more than manageable from the start. Now, obviously, the leaner and leaner that you do get, the harder it is to lose the body fat, which is why alterations need to be made as you go throughout the process, because with less body fat to strip off, it's a lot harder. So you need to either do more steps, do more cardio, or eat less food. We can delve into that in more detail shortly. Area number 2 is food, the killer for most men. We need your maintenance calories. So go on to tdeecalculator.com. If you don't know what they are, type in your height, weight, gender, and it will spit out a very rough number that you can use. Subtract 400, boom. That is your deficit calories. Now, in terms of the actual diet structure, 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight coming from lean sources, things like egg whites, chicken, turkey, fish. Fats, 50 to 70 grams coming from healthy sources, whole eggs, avocado, dark chocolate, nut butters are great. And then with carbs, use your carbs wisely. Use carbs that are low in calorie, high in volume. Things like potatoes, sweet potatoes, oats are incredibly good. This way, they're going to keep you full whilst keeping the calories low, and that is a very solid structure that you can follow to feel fueled for your training, that's also going to leave you in a deficit so that you can lose weight. Area 3, one of the main levers we can pull to actually elicit a good rate of fat loss is going to be steps, a daily step target. Pick a target that is more than manageable for you every single day. That way you can tick the box. Nothing gets missed. And if you're ticking the boxes, it's going to help out with motivation and you're going to buy in more to the process. So pick a target that you can manage. I would say 8K as a minimum for everyone is more than doable. Even if you work a sedentary job, you're in an office all day, wake up a little bit earlier in the morning, go and get a good chunk of your steps boxed off, and then you can just finish the rest of them in the evening. Area number 4 is cardio. Now, similarly to steps, you want to pick some cardio sessions in zone 2 that you can complete every single week under any circumstance. The whole idea with this plan, building the foundations, is repeatability to guarantee consistency. If time is an issue for you, prioritize cardio over your training. It's going to help you elicit a greater rate of fat loss. And then once you've stripped back down and you're building after, which is the right way of doing things, that's when you can place more of your focus on training. But for this first phase, stripping off body fat and getting lean, there's going to be more merit to you doing more cardio than there is finishing a training session and actually not managing to get all of your cardio done. Area number 5 is training. So although you're trying to lose body fat, training is still incredibly important to help you retain tissue, to keep your metabolism firing, and to ensure that when you do lose a good amount of body fat, you still look as good as possible. There's nothing worse, and I've seen this with people in the past, losing a lot of weight, getting lean, but losing muscle in the process. You look stringy, you look flat. If you're losing body fat, you want to look better, so you need to train alongside the fat loss to ensure that you can hold on to tissue and actually look good once you get lean. Now, simply just by implementing this very basic routine, you will see results week to week. And this is going to make the whole rest of the process a lot smoother because making adjustments is going to be incredibly simple. Now, for the average male, 5'9", 30% body fat, sitting around 200 pounds, dropping from 30% body fat to 25% body fat is fairly quick. It should take you around 5 to 6 weeks. This part of the process is incredibly rewarding. This is your first taste of true progression. You might drop a belt buckle. Clothes are starting to feel a little bit looser. Your love handles are starting to disappear a little bit. And from the hundreds of guys that I've coached to lose a good amount of body fat, this is the catalyst for you to continue your journey. Once you've seen that the plan that you've got is working and you've felt the change from losing the body fat, you don't want to stop. You just want to continue and keep cranking it out. And this is why it's so key to set the foundations from day one rather than doing things randomly from the start. 25 to 20% body fat literally just requires a little bit more accuracy. You're still carrying a good amount of body fat, so it shouldn't be that hard to chip away, provided you're sticking to that 1% target. But this is where you may need to start making some changes. So with the adjustments, bump up steps 2,000, see what happens to your body weight. You can add on an extra 5 minutes of cardio. You can throw in an extra session. I would steer clear of making food adjustments just at this time, because lower food is going to impact energy, it's going to impact training performance, it's going to impact recovery. I am someone very much who likes to program more steps and more cardio rather than reduction in food, just to protect training performance. And at this point, this is where things truly do get exciting. You're starting to edge towards looking like you actually lift. Clothes do feel nice. Your shirt isn't glued to your belly. You start to fill out your sleeves a little bit more. This is your first taste of feeling great day to day. You've already made a substantial amount of progress in terms of how you look visually, and sitting at around 20% body fat is where you start to approach the level of condition that is just great, really good, to the point where people will look at you and think, yeah, like, he hits the gym, he looks like he takes care of himself. And when people realize that, and when you feel that yourself, changes how you feel day to day. You're just operating at a high level. You've got more energy. Show up better as a partner, and generally day to day, you are just happier. 25 to 20% body fat should take you anywhere from 6 to 10 weeks, purely dependent upon how fast you move and how adherent to the plan you are. 20 to 15% body fat. This is where things start to get more exciting, I would say, but definitely a little bit tougher. You do have to start sacrificing a little bit. That level of flexibility that you've got is reduced. From 30 to 20%, be on plan 60 to 70% of the time, and you will lose weight. You will get to 20%. However, if you're wanting to push to 15 and below, there's an element of accuracy that you just need to maintain in order to actually get you to that result and to help you maintain it once you're there. At this point, food, drinks, social occasions off plan are a no-go. If you want to go out for a meal or some drinks, it must be accounted for and it must be planned for, which is where banking calories is going to come into play. So if you know that you're going to an event on Saturday and it's going to be an event where you're drinking 1,000, 1,500 calories over what you usually would be in terms of your daily allowance, you need to account for that in the days prior. So the 4 days before, let's say you bank 400 calories for each day, make calorie adjustments from carbs. Protein stays at 1 gram, fats stay at 50 to 70 grams per day, and you make calorie reductions for calorie banking from carbs. That way you can protect recovery, you can protect your hormones, and if you bank the calories, 400 calories over a period of 4 days, that's a bank of 1,600 calories. You're going to go and have 1,500 over on the Saturday, and that way you still maintain the deficit over the course of a week. You've had that element of flexibility, you've been out on the Saturday, you've enjoyed yourself, but ultimately you've still managed to progress. 20 to 15% will take you another 6 to 8 weeks, and this is where you genuinely do start to look like you lift. People that know you, friends, family, will be asking, how have you done that? You start to have abs poking through, you've got definition, striations, veins, clothes just generally fit great, all clothes. And I feel like this is a pivotal part of fat loss for most guys, because this is the part where you're seeing the fruits of your labor. You've done the hard yards at the start. If you want to keep pushing in terms of fat loss, there's really not that much left to strip off. And again, at this point, 15% body fat, you look great in clothes or without clothes. If you're on holiday, you'll be happy and you'll be confident to whip your top off and not be self-conscious that people are looking at you, because you look great, you feel great, you're now an operator, you've got that routine, you've got that discipline, you've proved to yourself that you can do something that's relatively hard, which is lose a good amount of body fat. So you just feel great day to day. And when people can see that you look after yourself, you're in shape, family members, friends, even strangers, you've got compliments rolling in, people treat you with more respect, which again, yes, you're doing this journey for you. When people treat you with more respect and people can look at you and instantly know what you're about in terms of discipline and determination and grit and knowing the art of delayed gratification, it's just happier. It's a happier life. 15% downwards, this is the start of the digging. This is where you start to sacrifice a lot. You are spending the majority of your time nailing food, doing steps, doing cardio. You're not going out for anything that's off plan. Yes, you can still go out, meals, drinks, whatever it might be, but it's accounted for, it's planned. You do not miss a beat. Now, I think it's important that every man at some point gets down to 10 to 12% body fat. And there's a couple of reasons for this. This is the level of condition where you look in the mirror, you think, how is that me? Like you are lean, you are shredded, you've got abs, you've got the perfect beach body. Yes, it's hard, but genuinely, there is no better feeling than looking in the mirror and you're thinking, how is that me? How have I managed to lose this much body fat? How am I in that sort of shape? I think there's something intrinsically rewarding with every single person on earth that doing something hard makes you feel great. It's having that sacrifice, not having loads of flexibility and just pushing through that discomfort. And it's just the most rewarding thing. And not only does it feel good to get down to 10 to 12% body fat, but it sets you up perfectly for a bulk. So if you're watching this video and you're thinking, yeah, I want to get lean and then I want to build some muscle after, you need to get lean before you start to bulk. The reason being, the leaner you are, the more responsive your body will be. It's going to uptake nutrients more effectively. It's actually easier for you to build muscle and you're more insulin sensitive. So the leaner that you can be at the start of a bulk, it means you've got a bigger runway to accrue some body fat and to push body fat up. Your appetite will also be in a much, much better spot, so you've got more room to push food volume up. So you're going to have a more productive gaining season the leaner that you are at the start of a bulk. I genuinely think that you'd be able to bulk for twice as long if you start at 10% body fat compared to 15. So if your goal is to get lean and then build muscle, there's going to be benefit to you just pushing through, getting a little bit uncomfortable, leaning into that discomfort to get down to 10% rather than stopping at 15% body fat and then entering a bulk. At 10 to 12%, you look and feel like the man. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it requires a lot of sacrifice, but you look good without clothes, without a doubt. You look like Adonis. You look like a Greek god, like you've been carved out of stone. And when you look like that, it's genuinely the best thing for your confidence. Like there is nothing that rivals that level of confidence, knowing that you've worked so hard, tirelessly over a period of months to carve your own body and to get into elite condition. You're in the sort of condition that most guys would dream of. And that's you. That's where you're at. At this point, you've developed serious mental strength. You are disciplined. You've learned the art of delayed gratification. And these are skills and traits that are applicable and beneficial in every other aspect of your life, whether that's business, relationships, training, whatever it might be. Having those skills in your arsenal, in your tool belt, is going to be massively beneficial for you to be more productive and happier day to day. We're going to be looking at another 4 to 6 weeks to drop from 15 to 10 to 12% body fat, depending on how far you want to take it. Now, the last stretch, sub 10% body fat. This is hard. It's not maintainable. It's only going to be for a very brief time. Typically, when a lad is doing a photo shoot, this is when I would prep someone down to sub 10% body fat. But it's hard. So rewarding, but incredibly hard. So I'll give you an example. This is Tay. Now, Tay, just before his photo shoot, was on 2,000 calories on a training day, 1,700 calories on a rest day. He was doing an hour of cardio daily, and he was also on 17K steps per day. A lot of activity, fairly low food, but that's what's necessary to drop down to single-digit body fat. Now, at this point, you've not got any flexibility. Everything that you do on a day-to-day basis is geared towards losing body fat. Again, it's temporary. It's such a rewarding process, but it's not for everyone. You can't stay sub 10% body fat because it's unhealthy. It's just too lean to maintain. You are in elite condition here, nothing short of it. When you look in the mirror, it's absolutely crazy. You are peeled, abs, striations. You've not got any love handles. You've not got any body fat anywhere. But I will say, you don't really look too good in clothes. And the reason being is because you are just too lean. Clothes will be a little bit baggy. Your sleeves will be a little bit loose. Your shirt will be loose around your belly. On the other side of the coin, clothes off, on holiday, you look insane, like you've been carved out of a rock. And the confidence that comes with looking like that and pushing through things that are incredibly hard, that not a lot of men are willing to do, is insane. You look and feel incredible. Getting from 12% to sub 10% body fat, fairly quick. Again, not an easy process, but will take you anywhere from 3 to 5 weeks. So that is a full timeline of going from 30% body fat to sub 10% body fat. Now, in terms of timings for you, how long will it take you to get there? It's going to be dependent upon adherence to the program. But if you are hitting it hard, you're doing the plan with a decent level of consistency and a decent level of accuracy, you're going to be looking anywhere from 24 to 36 weeks. Which, to achieve a transformation that's that drastic in terms of a visual difference, I don't think is that much time. Now, often people will look at the end result and think, I want that. I want to look like that. That's going to help me to feel better. But that's really not the rewarding part. The rewarding part is who you become along the journey. And I know that sounds cringy, but again, it's the discipline and the mental resilience and proving to yourself that you can do something that's hard, and it's continuing to maintain those traits moving forward. And again, they're applicable in any realm of life. When the plan that you've got works and you've felt the changes that come from following that plan, you do not want to stop. That's going to wrap up for this video, people. So if you don't know where to start with the fat loss, there's a guide. Tap the link in my bio. It's free. It's a guide on how to get to 10% body fat. It covers absolutely everything that you need. Don't forget to drop me a like. Don't forget to drop me a comment with any questions. Do not forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.